Charlotte Pierce, your host with Ready Row USA, our regular weekly podcast. It's part of the Rowing Chat Network, the international network of broadcasts. And we're continuing our weekly broadcasts as rowing gets started in the frozen north. I think Lauren, one of my guests from Minneapolis, might understand what I mean by the frozen north. And we are, like I said, part of the Rowing Chat Network. It's rowing.chat. So if you go to that, it's a URL. It's like one of those new extensions. So rowing.chat, you'll see all the networks, or the what am I trying to say? Faster Masters, Ready Row USA, which is our Strength Roundtable, and many others. It's a really great resource for rowing, and we're trying to connect the communities here. So we are now today running a starting a spotlight on rowing clubs around the U.S. I think as I travel around the country, I like to row, and when I travel, and it's just so special to call up a club. Yeah, come on down. And, I've done that in Spokane, in Austin, Texas, and Oklahoma. And now I think one of our guests is Lauren Crandall of the Minneapolis Rowing Club. And we will be talking with her about what's going on there. As you may know, there's been a lot of flooding. So that's a concern, but I think they'll be surviving that. And we'd like to acknowledge our sponsors. Ready Row USA is sponsored by JustStrong, which is athletic clothing just for women. And if you've ever ordered unisex clothing, you kind of appreciate what I'm saying. We have a coupon code if you can get 10% off. Caroe 10 is on the screen now. And we thank them so much for being a sponsor for a couple of months. The other new sponsor is Mind Games, the book by Annie Vernon. And I just got it. I haven't read the whole thing, but you can win a personally signed copy if you go to rowing.chat sponsors, and you'll find the links. But she's amazing. Even though I'm not an elite athlete, all those things are applicable. So thank you, Annie, for sponsoring that. It's Bloomsbury Publishing. And finally, Rose and Thorne. It's a UK company that makes amazing, supportive athletic bras, and our guests will appreciate those, I think. You can do row 10 at roseandthorne.com to get a discount on that. So thank you for our three sponsors. And we will now turn to Lauren Crandall, who responded to our appeal for just people from clubs around the country. Can you just pop in and say what your rowing life is like, what your club is like, what your challenges and solutions are? And maybe our listeners can come and visit you. Lauren, welcome.
Thank you, Charlotte. It's so lovely to be here.
Yeah. So what's going on? I hear from Bill Donahoe, who used to be on the U.S. Rowing Board of Directors, but he's out there in the Midwest. And I think he recommended you guys too, for me to contact you.
Oh, great.
Yeah. But he posts pictures of the floods once in a while. And what's going on out there? Are you guys okay? Or?
Yeah, no, we're fine. We're fine. We're thankfully in the gorge of the Mississippi River. So the water just gets extremely fast. So usually just to give you some idea, during June and July, the water flows at about 6,000 or 7,000 cubic feet per second. And it was up over 45 cubic feet per second. So it's just so screaming fast. So really, I was telling Nancy, I was showing her my blisters because I just got on the water 2 days ago. That's been
Yeah.
it's finally slowed down and warmed up enough to get on the water.
Right.
But
And I should mention our other guest. I'm sorry, I glossed over it, but Nancy Kellner, she's one of the founders of WeCanRowDC. It's a rowing for breast cancer survivors.
Yep.
So hi, Nancy.
Morning. Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
Okay, Lauren. Yeah, I was down at the head of the Hooch last year, and it was like double the rate. And I know what it's like to row in a river like that. It's like,
yeah, it's exciting. In one direction, it's super exciting.
I know. Isn't
the other
great?
direction is a little tougher, but yeah, it's
yeah. I was doing like 152. You know, it's like
I know, right?
Splits, you know.
Yeah, this morning we were doing like 130 splits in one direction and then 330 splits in the other. So it's a little discouraging sometimes when you're heading upstream, but
it is. And don't stop rowing. You know,
right.
Be down in Memphis before long.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what else is going on besides the?
You know, most people don't even, I think people think of rowing as being on either coast, and they don't necessarily understand that, you know, we have a pretty strong group of people who row in the Midwest. Our club started in 1877 on a nearby lake. So it's been around for a very long time. And we hosted our first international regatta in 1885, and we still have that regatta today, which is so exciting and so
that's
fun.
Amazing. I have to come out there. I would love to come by.
Oh yeah, we're so big on people coming and coming down and joining us. The tough part is we usually have to put them in a boat with somebody else, just because the river's a little wonky and it takes some used to. But we love to have guests, so really anyone is welcome anytime. You just get in touch with us through our website. Someone will set you up. It's fantastic.
Okay, and we do have your website. We did have your So Minneapolis Rowing Club and
MinneapolisRowing.org. Yeah.
MRCClubExpress.com or
no, that's not. Minneapolis Rowing will get you there.
Okay. Google search is your answer to everything.
Exactly.
So anyway, sorry about the flipping back and forth anyway. So you got Learn to Row coming up, or is it going on?
We have about 300 members. And we have competitive masters teams, high school teams. We have a middle school summer camp, which my 12-year-old took last year. It's a scream. It's a riot. They love it. And then we have Learn to Row lessons for adults. We teach between 150 and 200 adults every summer how to row. And it's fantastic because we have large bridges with lots of interstate traffic that go over our stretch of river. So people are always looking over saying, wow, I saw all these people down there rowing, and then they get in their head that they want to do it. So it's great. The bridges do advertise pretty well.
And we were talking with Tara Morgan she's like huge Learn to Row person. And what's your success rate in getting people to transition into being members? And like she said, to have the program ready to receive them is the key.
Right.
You know?
Right. We and we've had our growing pains with that, honestly. But what's been great for us is we have 2 Learn to Row programs. We have one that's just, I just want to learn to row, check that box off my bucket list and move on to my other sport. And then we have one that says, oh my gosh, no, I've been on the water and now I am a rower and this is what I'm doing. So just sectioning that off has been tremendously helpful for us to make sure that we have people's motives in mind when they sign up. And then we sign people up for Learn to Row, and then they go right into a novice program for the rest of the summer. And then they're on a special kind of first year, we call it our green team for the first year. And they can kind of play around with competing or decide if they want to do this in a recreational way. And then the following year, they'll move on to one of our competitive programs or to our recreational program.
And then this must be the winter scene here.
That is the flooding scene.
Yes.
What's really nice is those on the right, you'll see we have sliding doors, and it overlooks the Mississippi. So you can kind of pretend that you're out there. It's kind of refreshing when
it's a beautiful boathouse.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Our boathouse burnt to the ground in 1997. Wow. And it was just a little kind of a small house, but it was really awful for us. And this new boathouse that you're seeing now was built by a local architect here in Minneapolis through local donations, and it opened in 2002. And it's supposed to look, and it does, if you kind of look at it, it looks like an oar that's cutting through the water.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's
so
very cool. And it won the Progressive Architecture Award by architectural record. It's
Yeah.
pretty significant. We have
Wow.
so many architecture class tours that come through there every fall and every spring. We
That's
have
outstanding.
hordes of kids, but
I like the way it integrates into the landscape too. I mean, it is sort of like it has straight lines and stuff, but it just kind of like
very organic.
flows. Yeah.
Oh, we
love
love it.
Have you been to the Harry Parker community rowing?
I haven't yet. I've seen pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a cool building. I just pinch myself whenever I drive up there. It's just, and we have like Learn to Row, and I was just thinking about transitioning into programs and stuff. And I think part of it is having an atmosphere of collaboration and helping each other, and having all those little things that people can observe when they come to Learn to Row. You know what I mean?
Right. I have a blog called Dear Novice Rower because I was just so tired of, novice rowers come down, and we're all so used to how things are done and how our boats are put up and how things happen that I don't think we often consider that people who are new to rowing would really like to get into it. But it's not always the easiest sport to get into.
Yeah, and then you hear people standing around talking, like just being alert to someone new, like someone walking around like, what, can I help you find something? Or can I help you with your boat? Or
can I help you not get hit by a boat?
Right.
Not hit by a boat.
Right. Don't stand there, right?
Yeah, don't stand there.
Yeah. So, well, that's great. And I'm just, I'm going to come to many. Yeah. It's my goal to sort of land in every state in a row. I rowed in London Rowing Club and Amsterdam. Those are fun.
Florence, Italy is fun.
Yeah, you said you were in Florence.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little tiny club or something.
Yeah, well, it's actually it's underground. The club itself is kind of underground, and that's how you get to the water. It's one of the oldest rowing clubs in the world, and I connected with them through a Facebook group, International Rowing or something like that. And it's a tiny stretch of water that goes under the Ponte Vecchio, and but it was absolutely thrilling, really cool.
I think somebody at rowing camp, at the All-American Rowing Camp, maybe it was Bill Donahoe, and he visited, but he said there's this club where you just go into the club and then you go down to the water in your boat or something. Is that?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a secret entrance, and the directions are, you go over the Ponte Vecchio and then you look left and there's a dark green door. And it may be open, but there's a plaque to the right that says rowing in a couple of different languages. So you usually have to have an appointment unless you're a member. Right. And the door was open and you walk down a couple of flights of steps. And then there's a reception area with all kinds of medals and models, or small wooden models of boats and photographs and posters. And you have to go through this it looks like a little cafe. And it's full of old men reading newspapers, smoking, and drinking espresso. And there's an espresso bar in there, and and then right in front of you are the locker rooms, which are small, and you turn to the right, and there's the dock. I mean, there's a stretch of grass, and there are chairs and stuff out there for people to sit, and then there's the dock, and they have, kind of mid-competency shells, so that you're not going to flip over, but they're not the big fat bathtubs.
I mean, you just have to do that if you
have to do it.
Yeah,
you have to do it.
It's like definitely,
and you have to get the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And the sculfy. You know what a sculfy is, right?
Well, I had my photographer with me.
Okay. Your husband.
My husband, who does all the photography or most of it for We Can Row,
right?
Was with me, and he got the shots.
Great. Well, Nancy, since you're on the podium here, do you want to tell us a little bit about the We Can Row DC and how that started, and like what your news is, what you're trying to do there?
Yes, absolutely. So as you mentioned, WeCanRowDC is a club for breast cancer survivors or patients in any stage of treatment or recovery, assuming, of course, they have medical approval. And we got started back in 2005. And The driving force behind it was my co-founder, Doris Parker, who was rowing at Alexandria Community Rowing, and Bev Buffkin, who at the time was rowing out of Potomac Boat Club. So, we did a lot of noodling, and actually Doris approached Capital Rowing Club, where I row. Big shout out to Capital. And Capital has a community mission, and it came up that a We Can Row event was looking for a place, and I stepped up, and it got going. So we currently have about 60 members, 60 active members who pay membership dues, and somewhere between 20 and maybe 25 active rowers. We hold a Learn to Row weekend each Memorial Day weekend, and one's coming up. So
that's the 24th.
It's the 24th, 25th, and 26th.
Cool, yeah.
We, over the years, we have really honed this down to an amazing weekend where we get in erg instruction, rowing in the barges, and then by the end of the weekend, we have our participants, most of whom have never rowed before, many of whom have never been on a team before, in shells with our experienced rowers, and we get them out there in the skinny boats.
And then do you reach out to, like, I don't know, medical facilities?
We do.
Yeah.
We early in April, we have our kickoff meeting, and we send out information, flyers, postcards to medical professionals, gyms, the whole network of personal and professional contacts. And we also have our Facebook page, so we try to get the information out there as widely as we can. But this is a great opportunity, so thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think these are just, we all, who knows, we all may face and likely will face some kind of health issue as we age. So it's so great that you have this there. And, rowing communities are tight anyway, but I'm sure this community is even, sharing that common challenge.
Yeah, I should say that We Can Row was started by Holly Metcalf, who is now the open weight women's coach at MIT, out of CRI. And when I was having treatment, my biggest concern, having just learned to row, was when can I get back on the water? And the conventional wisdom at that point was, no, you're not going to be able to lift weights. You're not going to be able to. I had one woman at a volunteer organization that thankfully is no longer tell me that I would not be able to vacuum or carry groceries. And I said, that I don't really care about. I don't do that much anyway.
I have my people do that.
I have people to do that. But the medical conventional wisdom was that any repetitive upper body movement, lifting of weights, all that kind of stuff would likely cause lymphedema, which is a chronic swelling of the hand and arm. Kathy Bates went through lymphedema, and she was very open about it. So there are YouTube videos, and you can, check on that. But we do have members who have lymphedema. They wear compression sleeves, but it doesn't stop them from rowing. Or some of our members also dragon boat and an outrigger canoe. So Holly Metcalf, who was in the 1984 gold medal winning, medal winning women's aid in 1984, started this for one woman who came to her and said, I got to get back on the water. And it turned into We Can Row Boston, which still exists and is a wonderful group. And that's actually how I found her. Someone told me about it, and I emailed her and said, I've been told I can't row anymore. What's the deal? And she said, no, come row with us. And I did on a Tuesday evening, and it was an extraordinary experience to be with women who know what you're going through, who know what the questions are that you have about, will my body ever cooperate again? Will I ever get my strength back? Will I ever get my flexibility back? Will the nerve damage ever heal? And, you know, for me and also for Bev, I think Doris started to row after her treatment. But, you know, we were concerned that we'd never be able to do one of the things we love the most.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've been able to do at WeCanRowDC is develop exercises and approaches to this sport that take into account the kind of physical limitations we all have, especially at first, and use them in a way that makes sense for this sport.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and one example is, you know, carrying is hard. Lifting up a 250-pound boat is hard, even if you're fit, and there are 8 of you.
Mm-hmm.
So for the weekend, especially, we have probably 12, 15 people on the boat. It looks a little bit like a centipede, but we do things that make sense for this group.
You mean on the barges, or?
No, the barges, fortunately we don't have to carry.
You mean carrying the boat?
Yeah. But for example, when we learn about boat handling so that we can safely carry the boat, we use the oars. We practice with 4 participants on an oar, and we go through the commands, ready up to waist and up, ready overhead and up, and they pretend using an oar. They practice using an oar, how to carry it down the ramp and set it in the water. And we do that numerous times so that they don't have, that's Doris, they don't have any concern about something so heavy. Yep, there she is.
And who's the coach? Do you have one coach, or do you have many coaches?
I'm glad you asked about the coach. We have, this is Kurt Frank. He was my novice coach when I learned to row in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And he became a very good friend. He's been our learn to row coach in most of our years. Holly Metcalf came down to do the first couple from Boston. And Kurt at the time was a competitive rower for Capital Rowing Club. He rowed for Cal Berkeley. And he's also a very gifted coach and teacher. He has a background in astrophysics, and so he understands all of the science behind what works in a boat.
Wow, that is cool.
So, and for those of us who love the nerds, it's a terrific way to approach it. Yeah. But he has experience with masters, and since he and I have been friends so long, he's got a lot of experience with masters women. He and I have gone to rowing camp together, and it's been a hoot. But
now, do you have any? Do you have any relationship with U.S. Rowing, or?
So I should just say one thing. The other coach we have is Doreen Haney, who learned to row in my class, and she has rowed competitively for Capital and currently Sculls. So we have a dedicated group of supporters. I should say also that in addition to Capital, which makes our Learn to Row weekend possible, and our novice program, Potomac Boat Club hosts our recreational and racing programs, and ACR gives us access to their indoor erg rooms for winter training.
Awesome.
So we've also had.
So it's a real collaborative community down
very
there.
much so, because we own 2 sets of oars and Cox boxes and the like, but we depend on the kindness of not so strangers.
Yeah. How are they for visiting rowers down there, those clubs?
Oh, Capital, absolutely. Capital, and I should say also DC Strokes, which has provided a lot of support to us. DC Strokes is the oldest lesbian, gay, LGBTQ rowing club in the country. And we row out of the Anacostia Community Boathouse. And Capital especially hosts people all the time. So come on down. We can get you in virtually any kind of boat you want.
I mean, like I'm always coming through DC, you know, and I
Oh
just
my goodness, yeah.
I thought of it before, but you know, like it's I don't know, just getting there and
Oh,
But if I make the decision, I'll do it. But yeah, that's
You-
good to know.
yeah, you really should. It's a lot of fun, and it's a very welcoming place. Those are capital O's right there.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
these are do the We Can Row people do sculling too, and or
yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that. There are kayakers on the Anacostia.
yeah.
We in over the years we've acquired two shells, a double
Uh-huh.
and a nice Pinert single and a 26X. And they live up at Washington Rowing School, which is in Bladensburg, Maryland. So we're all over the place. And we really welcome people from all over to get in the boat with us.
That's awesome. Well, we are Nancy, Lauren, I'm sorry. Did you have any comments, or do you guys have any programs in your region like this, or?
We don't, not that I know of. We do have some adaptive programs,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mhm.
yeah, no, not something specifically like this. We just kind of combine them with the general population, but I think it sounds fantastic.
Well, so one of the things that we do is provide advice to people that want to start a We Can Row program in their area or at their boat club. So because we really, I have to say, it's a great weekend. We combine, we get all the safety stuff in, boat terminology, coxing, and but we also have yoga stretching, massages, catered meals, informative lunchtime speakers. It's kind of like being at a spa and a boot camp.
It sounds like a spa trip.
Yes. I mean,
that's a
that's
little bit of boot camp.
I took yoga from actually my rowing coach teaches it last winter, and I am convinced that it like ticked up my skill level, or you know, balance and body awareness and everything by 25% probably.
Yeah,
it's very helpful.
Amazing. I wanted to turn to we have a little contest, and I'm going to try and put in the hashtag for people to use. So I need you guys to help me with a hashtag. What should I call this?
What is it again?
It's a hashtag that people use in their social media, and they will win something if they use it. Well, over the next week until the next broadcast, we will search for the hashtag, and they'll win a product or service, or a rowing session at your club, or whatever you want to, if you want to offer something. But I need an idea for the hashtag.
I like that. I think it's nice for it.
So, but
hashtag metal.
Metal,
like
MEDAL.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you know.
Or courage or something. Or...
Yeah. Endurance.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Endurance.
It's a little long.
How about go for it?
Nice.
Go for it.
Row for it?
Row for it. Yes. Okay. And then I'm going to wrap up, but you guys are the best. Do you like this format? I mean, I'd love to.
Yeah, it was
I think
fantastic.
It's great. I think it's great.
If you have other clubs that you know of that would be good to feature, I think it's just nice to have a chat, like just learning about Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Right.
Just, what's going on there, what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean,
challenges are.
Honestly, both Capital and DC Strokes would be great participants.
Good.
And because, both sponsor adaptive programs as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a lot of community interaction, and we hold the National Learn to Row Days and so on. So
sure, yeah. Well, we will put them on the rest. I would like to do this at least once a month. Just have just spotlight on a club.
Mm-hmm.
We have so anytime clubs can use our form to submit news. So this, I was going to try and show the form, but I need to change the slide, and my technical director is not there. But let's see if I can do that. Club.
While you're doing that, I will tell you that We Can Row is a member of U.S. Rowing, and we've had the great good fortune to be able to field boats in the Head of the Charles twice, and it's all just. Oh look, is that our? Oh no, that's yours. It's a Google. Yeah. It's a Google form. I recognize.
I know. I love Google Forms. I'm just a big fan. But yeah, I mean, it's really easy. You can just, if you have something coming up, just put it in there. And, I think people are used to posting it on Facebook or whatever, but we can take it from the spreadsheet that
it's coming.
It feeds into. And so anyway.
Right.
Yeah, anyone who has any interest, if you have friends who are going through breast cancer, even if they're not in the DC area, we field a lot of questions, and we have an enormous amount of knowledge collectively, unfortunately. But like we like to say, this is the silver lining.
That's good to know. Yeah, it's good to have you out there, and I think sometimes people, there's just so much information out there, people don't know where to turn. But we'll do our best.
And it also it's not all about breast cancer. We take that bond, but we turn it into something much more positive and active and nurturing and
and like I was saying before we started, it's like we're all going to face something, and we should get used to asking for help. And people want to help. It makes them feel good to help, I think.
It does. It doesn't always make it easier to ask for help.
No, I know. But it's like public speaking or doing a podcast. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah. You have to do this again.
Yeah. Well, and I'd like to thank again our sponsors, JustStrong and Rose and Thorne Bras and Annie Vernon's book, Mind Games. Thank you so much for making this possible. Our host is myself, Charlotte Pierce, and I have a company called Pierce Press at piercepress.com. We also have our regular correspondents are Mark Wilson of the All-American Rowing Camp and Ellen Minzner, who's now the U.S. Rowing HP Para Director and a coach and Director of Inclusion and Advocacy at Community Rowing. The executive producer is Rebecca Caroe of Rowing Chat, rowing.chat, and where you can find many other podcasts with coaching and techniques and news about rowing around the world. And our technical director is my good friend, CRI Sculler, and a fabulous artist, Nancy Diessner. She's not with us today, which is why it was a little bit rough, but thank you for hanging in there with us. And we've kind of run over time, but what the heck, who cares? Again, thank you both, and please come back. Anytime you want to pop on and say something about your club.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great. Come to Minneapolis, not in the winter.
No, I'd love to come now, especially now.
I love winter. I live in Boston. I throw my cross-country skis in the car, and if it snows, I get them out. And
I live in Boston, but Minneapolis is a different deal.
Yeah,
I know.
It's a whole new different snow.
As we would say, it's wicked cold.
Wicked cold.
Thank you again. I'm going to close out here, and we'll see you all on May 15th. We have another show. We're going to be focusing on coastal rowing with Ben Booth of Rebel Rowing in Connecticut. So it's just another exciting area of rowing. So thank you all.
Thanks, Charlotte. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.